Well, good evening to everyone. Tonight, we have Mia and Aaron Smith, and we got Dexter in the wind and Natalie Smith. We got the Smiths meet the Smiths on tonight. We are so happy that you all joined us on tonight. We're gonna give y'all a chance to hit that like button, that comment button, just make a comment and y'all share. Since we've started the podcast at this point, you have a chance to go copy that link right quick and get it out to your people, because we want as many to come out and support y'all that can. So we're gonna give that just a couple of seconds, do a little small talk right quick. As we wait for the people to share the link with everyone. We're on Facebook Live, and we're also on the Neil's Appeal YouTube channel, which I'm really trying to get y'all to convert on over to the YouTube channel. But y'all just want to keep your face in the book for some reason. So we're going to let y'all do it, watch it however y'all want to watch it, long as y'all get it. As long as y'all get it. That's the main thing. Everybody had a good day today?
Excellent day.
Yes.
God is good. Yes.
God is good.
Hope you had a good one too.
I did. And when I don't have a good one, I make it good.
That's that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Yes. You got to.
We make it good.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a couple more seconds, and then we're going to jump right on in, get started. We know we can go long, and we want y'all to get some rest, get in the bed and get some rest. So
it's all good.
I so appreciate y'all coming out. Mother's Day was just this past Sunday, and we all have that in common. I hate that we're in that club together.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It just happened. And so we got us a situation where Mia, I called to check on you. I called to check on you and Natalie. And when I called to check on y'all, I didn't know that I was supposed to do this today, this Tuesday. I had something else lined up. And when God speaks, I've been just trying to be obedient. It was like, it's so relevant that, we just had Mother's Day and, so I called to check on y'all. And when I was talking to Natalie, I was like, you want me to ask her, Lord? Like, she just buried her mama Saturday. She ain't ready for this. And I asked Nat, I said, Nat, would you think you want to share? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, how in the world? You just buried your mom on Saturday. Like, I shut down for a while. I shut down. Mia, we and you were just like with the, I could hear the smile over the phone with you, just feeling like you saw y'all did a homegoing celebration for her, and everybody was talking about how grand it was, and it seemed like a really good celebration of life for her. So we're going to let y'all talk. So we got Mia's mom, who's been passed away now for 28 years. And then Natalie, not even 28. I don't know. What's today? I mean, they just buried her Saturday, right? So 2 weeks. And so although they have that gap, they still share the same broken heart, right? Aching heart. And so we're going to open up the floor and we're going to hear from them. Mia, I think I want to start with you first. And really just want to learn, before we get into it, let's lighten up the mood some. Let's lighten up the mood. And I want y'all to share something funny that your mom might have said to you, done to you, embarrassed you, or something like that. Let's lighten up the mood. Let's start off with lightening up the mood and just hearing something where we can kind of, be in the spirit of understanding how your moms were. Well, a glimpse of how they were. Come on, Mia.
Oh wow. Oh, there's so many stories, but one thing about my mother, she was very, very poised, very stately, very quiet. She moved quietly, but she was literally no joke. It was one of those, hey, oh, she's sweet, Miss Pamela, I love her, great cook, just warm hearted, but you just don't play with her. And so when I grew growing up, I was such a dramatic child. I'm not gonna lie. I just, when, I was one of those kids that, if I got in trouble, I was a crybaby, instantly. Or if I didn't get my way, because I was my mom. I'm the youngest of three girls. I'm the youngest. I'm the baby, but I'm my mom's only biological child. So like growing up, I was her shadow. She used to call me her shadow. So whenever I didn't get my way, and she was like, her no was no, and I would throw these little tantrums, and they were so dramatic, and I would just sit there and just like it was like revving up like an engine. And so if I said, well, mom, can we get McDonald's? She was like, no. And like she didn't raise her voice. She was like, I said no. And I would just start throwing this tantrum, and I would literally just go like this, just and like yeah, I would just rev up, start. And she quietly looked at me, and it was so funny because my sisters would see me do this as if like this is really gonna get you what you want, and she would just sit there and she goes, and I would just still start revving up. She said, "Don't stop." I said, "Huh?" She said, "Don't stop." She said, "Because if you do, I'm gonna whoop you." Just stand right there. Keep going. And I literally had to stand in the middle of the whole time. And my sisters did everything they could to not laugh, and they did. I mean, and then when I stopped and got tired, I got that whooping.
As promised.
Right. As promised. She said yeah, I was gonna get it regardless. And like she didn't raise her voice. Now when she did raise her voice, it was like because I really pushed the button. Now, I wasn't a bad kid. It was just I was just dramatic. She was like, okay, so you want to be dramatic? Okay, go ahead. Be on stage. Afterwards, I got this belt for you. But it did ground me. And it was just it was funny. She would say things, and whenever I would be sad or anything like that, she'll tuck me in bed, and she goes, you're my shadow, right? You follow me everywhere you go, right? And so she'll grab me, she'll hold me, she'll sing that song, Me and My Shadow Strolling Down the Avenue. And I would make her sing that to me before we went to bed every single time. Wow. So like even up until I was older, it was just like our little way of conversating. So, that makes me smile. And now that, I've got kids of my own, and I'm like, I'll see them do certain things that actually reminded me of my mom, and they never met her, but it was just like, I feel like, she's with me wherever she goes. So it just kind of, some of her humor that people may not have ever really seen. She had a great sense of humor. I'm like, she would just say little things, and, I'm like, Mom, you funny. Like people don't get to see that because she was just so well put together. She always remained composed, but like she always liked to laugh and have a good time and travel. But like, yeah, she didn't play about those things, and it was pretty hilarious. She was stern, and thinking back, I know I deserved it because I was just that dramatic. But yeah, just I never forget that. And I said, okay, you know what? When I have kids, I'm gonna make them do exactly what I did. But yeah, it was just that those times like that just make me laugh and make me smile and let me know, yeah, you know what? I was raised by a really good one. So
yes, I believe that. Come on, Nat, give us something.
So I was when you asked me this question, I had to think on something good, and I did. I remember. So just so you know how we are, my mom does not do any of the cooking. I remember the movie Soul Food. It's that one sister that didn't do the cooking. That was my mama. She didn't do the cooking. And so I remember when me and Dexter were dating. She decided to prepare a meal, and so I was nervous. And she was like, "No, don't be nervous. I got it. Like it's gonna be perfect." And the next thing I know, I see this store-bought chicken come out that oven because she put it in there to warm it up to make it look like she had made a good old meal for Dexter. She really tried to make it. make it look like she did something good. And I was like, what? Like, this is what he's gonna think that I do. I promise I can cook. like, like I didn't get that gene, right? So that was for me. My mom always tried to like impress and make sure people like stay laughing. She would always do just little things, and so that for me stood out because she really wanted to impress Dix. I said, I guess I told him, I said, I guess she knew you were it for me, because yeah, that, she made sure she prepared the good meal, some
But
good chicken in the oven, some
the
with a little store bought chicken. But it's all good. It was good.
the rotisserie, that's good in Sam's and Costco. We like that, don't we?
Girl. We do, but see, it was before all that stuff was like real fancy, because now we make casseroles with it and all that. But no, she was like went and bought the box of fried chicken, had put it on that pan, threw it, yeah,
Yeah.
it was real good though.
She took it out they pan and put it in hers.
Yes, yes.
So look, um, I just want to know y'all's story. So take us back to that. Mia, let's start with you first. Take us back to the moment you found out your mom had passed. What do you remember most vividly about that day? Like, tell us how old you were
Okay.
and the phone call or whatever that was. Go ahead.
Well, I was 23, and the crazy thing was, she was never sick. There was never any kind of like ongoing illness or anything like that. I was actually singing with Soul Purpose at a youth rally in Tennessee, and it was like around April, and so we were gone that weekend. And normally, and we were all, of course, very young. And so we are all gone that weekend, and we always would call when we got to our destination, our hotel. We always called to let our parents know, that we made it safe and all that kind of stuff like that. So when we got to the hotel, I called my mom, and she didn't answer. I didn't think it twice about it, because normally, like on the weekends, she'll, run her errands, go shopping, do whatever. And so I didn't think twice about it. We performed, at this particular youth rally, and then that Sunday morning when we got, I didn't call her when we got finished. We just went straight to sleep, but we had a long day. And that morning, in the hotel, I got a phone call. Um, our manager at the time, Mr. Sister Jerusha Smith, had woke us up. It was early, around 7 or 8, saying that my family was trying to get in touch with me, and that my mother had a stroke while she was shopping
Mm.
at the mall. And so I was like, this don't even sound right. This doesn't sound like my mom. She's never really been in the hospital. What happened. So we immediately got dressed, ran back home, and went straight to the hospital. And so when we got there, she was in the bed or whatever. And they said that, she had a stroke, but she's going to be, in their mind, she was going to be fine. And she was talking to me and things like that. And everything was just so really ambiguous. And I was like, I've never seen my mother in this capacity before. So for me to see that, and my mother being just the woman that she was, very well put together, she just was, looked disoriented and things like that. I was just kind of just struck, like anybody would, especially, this is your mom. So, a week, during the week, they were saying that she was going to progress because she was in ICU. And during that particular week, they said that she was progressing and getting out of ICU and into a regular room. And so, I was like, okay, that's good. Now, keep in mind, this was within a week. And then the day that they took her out of ICU into a regular hospital room, we were all in there watching TV, having a good time. We were like, okay, that means mama's coming home. And so me, my dad, my sisters, and my aunt, her baby sister was in there. We were just talking and laughing, but it was just a look on her face that I saw, and it wasn't, it wasn't, it just wasn't right. And so it was like, she was just looking, it was as if she had like this calmness or whatever, on her face. And she kept looking around. She was like, yep. She said, yep, y'all, I'm going home. And we were like, yeah, you're right. You're going, you about to, that's what's happening. But I even felt what she meant.
Mm.
And, I didn't want to say anything, cause, mother and daughter bonds, it's real. And so, but she had this look on her face, and I told my Aunt Lynn, I was like, she didn't look right. And she was like, it's going to be all right. Don't worry about it or whatever. And the very next day, after they moved her into the room, she took a turn for the worse. And the stroke hadn't finished evolving in her brain. Mm-hmm. And she became brain dead. And so we had to make a tough decision, whether to keep her on life support or to pull the plug. And my dad he was in shambles, and so was I. And so being in that moment, I was like, my life is literally about to change. Like, my life is changing right now. And it was
23.
I was at 23. Like, legally you're officially an adult then. But with that moment, I was like, who's going to teach me how to be a woman? That was my question to myself. Who's going to teach me how to be a woman? I don't know anything. I was still living with my mom and dad at the time, working, still going to school. And I was like, this can't be happening. So at that moment, when we found out the news and the doctor let us know that, my dad was in shambles, the family was in shambles, everybody was called. They were like, okay, we need to make a decision. And so, they gave us, the weekend to make it. And my dad, I remember Nikki Gaston coming to the hospital, and I just told her, I said, I need to get out of here. And I told my dad, told my sisters, I was like, I need to go to your house. I need to go play some games. I don't care what it is. I don't care what we do. I need to laugh. I needed to get, because it was so heavy. I felt like the walls were closing in, at that moment. And I just said, I need to laugh. And I said, I don't want to hear anybody tell me, you know what, this is okay. I didn't want to hear God saying, okay, I'm bringing her home. I wasn't ready for it. So I was like, I need something. I need a distraction. Told my dad I wasn't going to be coming home. I was going to stay the night over at the Gadsons. And, she was like, okay, we'll play board games, we'll play Scrabble, we'll play whatever it is. Uno, I don't care. I was like, I just need to laugh. Bring whoever else comes over, just do that. I just didn't want any phone calls to say, I'm praying for you. Not because I didn't want that comfort, but it was just a new norm that was about to happen that I was like, God, I wasn't ready for that. So we had the weekend, and I went for breakfast that Monday with my aunt and my cousins. We went for breakfast, and we were eating breakfast on our way back to the hospital to check on Mom. And I got and this is how long ago it was, because we had pagers then.
143.
Man, show my age. So I got a page from my sister, and I called her from the restaurant. She was like, hey, where you at? And she was real cool. And I was like, yeah. I said, we're here. Can't remember the restaurant name. I said, we're here, and we're about to head to the hospital, because the hospital was literally just right across the street from our restaurant. And she said, okay. She said, well, Pam's gone. And I just stayed on the phone. I felt numb. It was April 26th. I remember that. It was April 26th, 97. And I just was on the phone. And I said, okay. Just that calm. I was like, and here it is. And I got off the phone, and I looked at my aunt and my cousins. I said, you guys ready? And they were like, yeah, we, just give us a minute. I'm almost finished with my food. I said, Mama's gone. I just stood there, and I said, Mama's gone. And they just looked, dropped the plate. He said, "Come on, let's go." So that day, it's wild, but I didn't cry that day.
Mm.
I didn't cry that day. I just they were like, "You want to come in the room?" Like, um my aunt Lynn came in. I think my sisters had come in. I can't remember. It's still been a bit, but I know my dad was there, and they went in the room and they said, "Me, you want to come in the room?" I said, "No, mm-mm, no." And they were like, "Are you sure?" I said, "No." I said, "Because I want to remember my last memory. I wanted to remember me talking to my mom. I didn't want to remember anything about tubes in her mask. I didn't want to. I didn't want to see anything else other than the last time I talked to my mother when she said, "I'm going home." That's what I wanted to leave with. And so that day was just, it was mixed, Kelly. It was mixed because I felt out of body. I felt mad and I felt confused because I was like, so what's this mean now? Like, what am I going to be? What am I going to look like? And I wrestled with that. But it was, I didn't even cry at the funeral. That's wild. That's a whole nother thing. But I'm sorry for getting ahead of myself. But there's all kinds of emotions. Like, okay, now I'm on my own,
Mm.
and then I don't have my mom here. What's that look like? And to be honest with you, that loss, that fresh loss, that initial loss, was difficult for both me and my dad, and that put a strain um, in a lot of ways at that moment because he was grieving in his own way. I was grieving in my own way. And we didn't know how to understand each other's grief
Mm.
at that point in time in a lot of ways because he lost his partner. He lost
Hmm.
his other half. And that was a whole different mask of grief. And here I am. I lost the person that brought me into the world. And so, you know, we're sitting here trying to navigate what this new norm looks like without the matriarch
Mm.
because she wore so many different hats, and all we knew was the hat that she wore when it came to our relationship. And it was very different. Yeah, it's mom and dad. My dad was great, whatever. And now, they're resting side by side now, with each other. That's a whole nother thing. God bless. But you know, that moment of what it brought a lot of real life situations in your face right then and there that it was just, when you pray, when I prayed to God, I was like, so what are you trying to say? What journey are you trying to take me on now? Like I know about holding your hand, God, but I don't have my mama's hand to hold anywhere.
Mm.
She always showed me. I was her shadow. Like, whose shadow am I gonna be now? So I thought about all those things and I didn't get a chance to understand and grieve that then because I didn't understand it. So having these moments, I thank you for that because it gives me the opportunity to speak about it. It's therapeutic. And like I think when we talked prior last night about how this is going to navigate, it is healing because you have those moments like well, why are my feelings the way they are, and then you have moments of bursting with happiness like, oh, my mom would be so proud of me if she did this. Man, I remember when she cooked this pound cake, but all those things. You have all these emotions. It's like a hamster wheel. It's like, what you gonna get next? Like, if you get off this wheel, where is it gonna stop?
Wow.
So it's that's where I was. I was mixed at that moment. So and I'm pretty sure we'll talk about some other things as time goes along. But that's where I was at that moment.
So watch this, Mia. You miss Natalie. When Natalie tells her story, y'all got some similar stuff. that
Wow.
happened. Come on, Nat, tell us. For those of y'all just joining, Mia's mom has been passed for 28 years now. Natalie just buried her mom this past Saturday, and she's already able and willing to speak and talk today. So, Natalie, come on and tell us the question. Let me go back to the question, which was, take us back to the moment you found out um, your mom had passed. What do you remember most vividly about that day? So we're going to talk about your whole coming back and everything like that, but take us to that, like, from the hospital, whatever. Go ahead, just tell us about that initial.
So, no, don't worry. So, just to tell you about that day, we're gonna start with the day before, because that's kind of, it leads me up into the day of. But the day before, well, actually that week of that whole week, we came back from Florida. We were in Florida that week for Easter, um, and we came back on that Monday. I went to go see my mom, check in like I always do, and she was just like, "Oh, I'm not feeling good today." Still talking, very vibrant, everything's still good. And she was like, "Hey, I think I don't know what's wrong." So she started getting sick. I was like, "Okay." So I'm always there when she got sick. So I was like, "Okay, let me start get her cleaned up, everything." Called the nurse in there. He was like, "Yeah, she's not looking good today." And my dad had said earlier that she wasn't eating a lot of food that day, and I was like, "Okay, you know." Tuesday, which was my daughter's 10th birthday, I got a phone call saying we're about to send your mom to the hospital because she needs to get that peg tube taken out because they're not using it. So we just need to take it out. We get to the hospital and she sounds like weak. But I asked her, I said, you were sick, weren't you? Like you threw up all night, probably didn't you? She said, yeah, I did. I was real sick. Still talking fine, right? So I left at 10:30, no worries. I went home. Wednesday comes along and the hospice nurse calls me and she was like, you and your dad need to get up here because something doesn't look right. She said, I've never seen your mom like this. Like she's real, like in and out of sleep. She looks very weak. And I was like, yeah, I said they told me, I'm playing it off like, oh yeah, they told me like she just needs that tube taken out and now we just need to get her hydrated again and all these things. So Wednesday I get there, and me and my dad show up and I'm like, okay. I was like, Dad, did you bring a boost with you? And he's like, yeah. So he gives me the boost and I start making her drink it. Cause again, I'm just thinking like I can like help her get better, right? She just was dehydrated. That's all I'm saying. Like she's dehydrated. I just need to make it better because I'm very assertive. And so I'm like, hey, we're gonna do this and we're gonna get you better. Then all of a sudden, something came over me and said, Natalie, this is it. This is really it. So then I called my cousin because I knew she was on her way out of town, and my cousin and I are both the only children in the family, so she's very close with my mom. And I was like, "You need to get up here." I was like, "Because I don't know how much longer we might have, but right now she doesn't look good." I called my husband and I said, "You need to bring the kids up here because I don't know what's going on, but I just feel like we need to get the kids up here." He brings the kids. My cousin comes in the door. She's already teary eyed because she sees it too. And we and we'll get to that later when we talk about grief. But um, so I'm just sitting in the room. I'm watching everybody come in. I told my cousin, I said, "You might want to call everybody that needs to see her to go and come on, because I just feel it in my spirit. This is not gonna be too much longer." So um, Wednesday, my mom had woke up for a little bit. She saw the girls. She said, "What are y'all doing?" Just so weak. She's like, "What are y'all doing?" She was like, "Will y'all just sing me a song?" And so, if you know my girls sing, and so they always sang a song for my mom, "Jesus Loves Me," the like new way or whatever. And so, um, they always fight when it comes to singing that song because they don't ever know who wants to sing what part. But they didn't fight that day. They just started singing, and we all in the room started singing, and she like just kind of drifted off into sleep and kind of put her eyes down. I was like, yeah, okay. So when I woke her back up, she said, "I love y'all. I love y'all." She was like, "Do y'all love me?" And I was like, yeah, mama, we love you. And I was like, them babies love you. So that was Wednesday. Thursday, my cousin spent the night. And then Thursday, she came to the house. My dad went and stayed like the whole day, uh, morning until like about 5 o'clock. And then my cousin and I came in around like 6 in the evening. So I was there from like 6 to about 10:30. 10:30 was always my time for some reason. 10:30, I was ready to go. So I would leave at 10:30. And so me and Dexter were there and we were just sitting there, we were talking, we were singing, laughing. And she just was resting the whole time. So my cousin walked us out of the nursing home and then she went back in. Well, I went home thinking and I kissed her really, really, really tight and I hugged her and I said, I'll see you in the morning, okay? And when we left, I left my phone in the car. I don't ever leave my phone in the car. And my cousin ended up calling my husband and she was like, hey, y'all need to get back up here. And so I looked at him and I said, why do we like it burdened me, right? I was like, why we gotta go back up there now? Like she was just doing, she just was asleep. I was like, is something else going on? I ain't thinking nothing of it. So then I told Kelly this. I'm a person that needs to know. I do not like surprises. I do not like I have to know what's going on because I need to know what I'm walking into. Because I don't think my heart could have taken anything else. And that's honest truth. So I called my cousin as we were on the way. I said, hey, I said, can you just tell me what's going on? Like, I know you're not trying to tell me, but please tell me. And she was like, Nat, she's gone.
Hmm.
We were just there 10, 15 minutes ago. Okay. So I rode all the way back. I promise you, Dexter was speeding, and we got back there in probably 6 minutes. That's a 15-minute drive.
Oh boy.
We got back there in 6 minutes. I walked in the room. She was just at peace, just peaceful, just laying there. And I just said, Mom, I just wish you would open your eyes one more time, because that's all I wanted. Because every time we walked in the room, she would be smiling. She would be, wide eyed. I have her eyes, so our eyes are big. And so she would have her eyes open and laughing and all the things. And that was what I was wanting to see again. But my heart was at peace because I knew she didn't want me to see her like that. I knew she didn't want me to see her go like that. And I thanked God that it was not me that had to see that. Because I don't know where I would be right now if I had to.
Thank you both for sharing. So sorry for your losses. Natalie, I'm coming right back to you because you so I didn't even know, I wasn't on Facebook or anything. I didn't see anything. And Shauna, I was talking to Shauna Watkins and she said, Nat's mom passed. I said, no. And I was like, I gotta go. And I hung up from with her and I called you and you answered the phone with, it sounded like you were chipped up smile. And it was like you had already kicked into, I got to take care of this business mode. Talk to us about Saturday. And then I want to get into the other questions. Talk to us about Saturday because that was
So, so Kelly took what Kelly said. I was ready. A lot of people, my friends, if they're watching, they know I was ready to talk. I was ready to answer phone calls. My mama built me like that. She's strong. Uh, all that fell on me as only child. I don't know. It's something about that strength. It's something about um, that feeling of knowing that she was at peace. It gave me comfort to know that I knew she was with the Lord, so I don't even have to worry. I knew that this is what she wanted, and so I didn't fight it. So when people were calling Friday and Saturday, I was prepared for the calls. because I knew I was going to get comfort in knowing that they knew and that they were praying for me.
Mm.
I didn't answer every call, but I answered the calls that I needed to answer. I was just like Mia though, on the like needing to like laugh and go walk away. Like I needed all of that. What I didn't tell y'all is on Friday, I actually took my kids to school. I let them sleep late and I took them to school, but they still didn't know. They didn't know my mom had passed. I left that quiet. I had to portray this whole nother person on the next day because I couldn't let them know what was really going on. So all things led to Saturday, which was this past Saturday. The memorial service was beautiful, beautiful. The singing. If you knew my mom, that's how I grew up. We grew up. People talk about, oh yeah, we grew up with the old school R&B playing. No, baby, we grew up with Church of Christ songs. I've heard everybody. I knew everybody's song. I knew everybody's ad lib. I couldn't sing it, but I knew everybody's ad lib because that's how we woke up every Saturday, every Sunday. That's how it was. So my mom, she loved music. She loved singing. So when it was time for the memorial and we were putting it together, me and my husband were like, okay, we know who to call. We know what's needed. And so we had all of that. So all of that made me sit there and say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, that this is what I know she would want. This is why I know she would be happy. And it gave me comfort. It gave me the hug I needed on Saturday. It gave me the hug I needed for Sunday so that I was able to really have a good Mother's Day. But yeah.
So let me ask you, Mia, um, what does Mother's Day feel like for you now? Like, is it a day you dread, avoid, or find a new meaning in? Tell us what Mother's Day, because I when it first happened for me, going on Facebook and seeing all those, I had to get off. And in the beginning, it was too much. It was a lot. So what when it comes up now? When I called you yesterday, you and hubby were out, and he asked you. You said he asked you what do you want to do? Whatever. So y'all were out doing whatever, and just what is that like for you now?
I'm gonna say it's wild because each year is different. It
Mm.
it literally, like, I'll never forget that. I'll never, when I go on Facebook, I always pay homage to my mom. You'll see that, and it never fails. But like, just to actually every Mother's Day, just it brings something different. Like my first Mother's Day, um, without her was literally a week later. She died. We buried her a week before Mother's Day. So clearly that was rough. It was unreal the entire day. Like I didn't know. I don't even remember what happened. But like all the ones after that, there were days where I felt celebratory. I celebrated. As a matter of fact, this one I almost kind of forgot that it was Mother's Day. But one special Mother's Day was when I graduated. What, 2 years ago, with my bachelor's, and I graduated from Winston-Salem State on Mother's Day weekend, and so that meant the world to me because when I walked across the stage, number one, you know how everybody has their decorated caps and things like that. So I wanted specifically, because she always wanted to see me graduate from college, and she died before that happened. So I went back to finish that.
Mm.
So I decorated my cap, because she never graduated. She was going to school for her associates, but never, she never got a chance to finish it, due to everything that happened. And so I made it a point when I got my bachelor's degree to put her picture of her in her high school cap and gown on my cap. So we walk across the stage together in our cap and gown. And so that meant the world. And then on top, no, that was it. Yeah. And that weekend, I got off, flowers and celebratory things. I went to her grave and I gave her my graduation flowers.
Mm.
So I was like, mission to me, that was mission accomplished. And, it felt beautiful because I knew that she was with me then. So that Mother's Day of 2023 was just extremely significant. And I felt it was just amazing. Um, the 2024 Mother's Day, it just seemed to blur because I think I engulf myself in things to do, so I don't have to think about it. And I'm guilty of doing that. And it's always something like if I keep myself busy, if I embrace myself with my family around me, with my sons, with my husband, things like that, I don't have to feel the feelings that kind of sink in when I see everybody else take their mom out for to eat, or Mother's Day cards that I can't give to her anymore. Um, and God keeps me through all of that. I think, sometimes my sanity has been tested so many times.
Mm.
Um, and I say that with full transparency because, grief wears many hats and masks and things like that. And, so Mother's Days for me, I can't tell you what it is until it happens,
Right.
So you know what I mean? So like this Mother's, like you said, this Mother's Day, Aaron kept asking me, so what do you want to do? And like literally the week before, I'm like, oh yeah, that is coming up. Like I'm because I feel myself with so many other things to do. Sometimes not on purpose. Sometimes it's because I have to, and that's how life does. But this, like, he was really trying to prepare. Okay, so we should go. You want to go to this restaurant? There, I'm like, oh yeah. Why are we going? And
Yeah.
like, I literally did that a couple of times. He's like, Mother's Day. I was like, and in my head, I'm like, well, can they give me another week? Can Mother's Day go? Like, can we do this next? Like, because I'm not thinking about that. But then when it hits, like I had a really decent Mother's Day, like when you called up, we were out and about, just kind of, looking at, some neighborhoods. One thing we like to do, we like to go look at houses, things like that, just to kind of make it peaceful. We went to eat, and I said, I think I know what I want for my Mother's Day present. He was like, what? I said, I want to go to bed. That's what I want to do. Like he was like, we can do that. That's free. You know what I'm saying? And but it was just something that I was like, that's the piece that I need. And 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 I thought about my mom. I didn't go to her grave that at that particular time. I didn't. And I don't normally, it's funny, I don't visit the grave as often as I should. And I feel like somebody told me, and it is scripture, let the dead bury themselves. But I'm like, no, this is different. Like, I feel like she's with, like, it's not, it may be weird to some who don't understand the loss of a parent or whatever, but I felt like she was with me the entire time. And
So
so, that's how those Mother's Days look for me.
so let me ask you this, Mia. I'm coming Nat and Aaron, I'm coming to you too, because I got a question for you too as well. So it's been 28 years for you, Mia. It's been 2 weeks for Natalie.
Yeah.
Do you feel like people expect you to get over it? Like, how do you respond to that unspoken pressure?
Okay. So fun fact. When that happened, it wasn't unspoken. Somebody flat out said it to me.
Wow.
It was really, it was eye opening. And I was like, I'm sorry, no, it was eye opening and it was jarring at the same time. Cause I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know my grief inconvenienced you, and, it was one of those things where I was like 6 months removed from burying my mom. And when you're in that moment, it was like, the one that you love is gone or whatever. So you're looking for that replacement. Like me, like, because my dad was grieving, I was grieving, we were grieving in our, and it like, we sometimes we weren't gelling because both of us were mad because, the one that we love, the love of our life is gone. The love of his life and the love of my life as a mom, and as a mother figure, as a mom, was gone. So, sometimes we just had to go to our separate corners and grieve. So when I met, I met my previous husband, I was grieving still, and I didn't know what that. I didn't know what grieving looked like. Like what? Like I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like one day I'm happy, the next day I'm just in tears and I'm falling apart, and all this kind of stuff like that. So like when I was in even certain relationships, before I met my now husband, that was in, and I finding myself just randomly at times just a ball of tears, or I even have a panic attack. And one person just came up to me when I was in the middle of this relationship with him, and I was just like in tears, and I was like, I think like I love to cook because I get that from her. And, I was making something, I don't even know if it was baking a cake or whatever it was. And I just burst into tears, like out of nowhere, nothing prompted, no, nothing. And they were like, God, you crying again? She's gone. I mean, when you gonna get over it? And I was like, did that just happen? And it was jarring, and like before they could even take it back and say I'm sorry, they just looked at me like, okay, like maybe I shouldn't have said that. And in my head, like, yo, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have. And it was like now I had to reprogram how my grief looked in front of people, because I was like, if this is how it feels, if my grief is inconveniencing people, maybe I just need to do it to this, in private or whatever. But the saving grace, in those moments when that's been said, and that tracked in the back of my mind, like, okay, I need to grieve in private. I need to grieve in my car, or I need to grieve when no one's around, or whatever. I would have those moments, and my aunt would call me. Like it never failed. When I think I was in the midst of it, she would just call randomly, and she would like, "Hey, sweetie, just checking on you." And like my aunt is my mom's baby sister, and she's like a second mom to me. So like I go just as hard for her as if my mom was here. So she's like, "Hey, baby, just checking on you." I was like, she was like, "How you feeling?" And before I could say I'm good, I just burst into tears again. And I was like, "I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't understand." And she would always call me on those specific times. And she finally said to me one day, she said, "I feel you, right?" I was like, "What?" She said, I know when I know when you're crying. I know. She was like, and you do know, like one day I was in tears and I was crying the entire month of November. Could not figure it out. I was like, why? Why? Like I was dramatically crying. And I thought it's just me being dramatic, but like, no, I was like, what's happening to me? Why am I having these panic attacks? I thought at the time. And she just came, she was like, "Baby, you good?" Or another, "Baby, you good?" And I was like, "No, I can't stop crying." She's like, "You know why you're crying, honey, don't you?" I said, "No, it just won't stop." She said, "Baby, it's November." And I was like, "But I know that." She said, "Honey, it's your mom's birthday." And I was like, she said, "You grieving?" And like, it don't, like when she brought it to my attention, it really sank in. Because I'm thinking, well, why am I, I'm thinking I'm just being dramatic. I'm like, no, I never gave myself the opportunity to recognize my grief. And so, I realized then that when I needed those moments to take them.
Yep.
To take them and not hide them because it inconvenienced somebody else.
Yep.
And God showed me that. God showed me like, I'm in your tears, honey. Yep. I know, I'm in your tears. I'm in your presence. I've had several dreams, you know, of my mom. And the dreams were saying, I'm okay. Like literally as if I was touching her in my dream.
Mm.
And she was like, I'm okay. And I know God brought that. He let me know. But like that's what my grief looked like to those who didn't feel like dealing with my grief. And I realized at that particular point in time when that happened, I'm like, oh, this is not for you. And I don't have to hide my heart when it's broken, when I'm missing my loved one. And I don't have to do that for you or anybody else. And it took it real talk, Kelly, it took years for me to understand that. It did. And I didn't really it didn't really hit me to heal like that until I was literally by myself.
Mm.
Like by myself, like me and God alone by myself. With my like even with my kids there and things like that, like my grief no, it doesn't go away, but in a sense, in a lot of ways, my grief is healing me. Um, Nobody wants it. Nobody. That's not. You don't wake up one day and say, you know what, I feel like grieving today. That's just a good day to do that. It's that's not how the world. That's not how your mind works. At least mine doesn't.
Right.
But when you recognize it's present, ever present, and it's there, and those moments in recognition, you take that moment.
Yep.
You don't,
Absolutely.
yeah, you don't compress it and you don't hide it because that emotions have to go somewhere and they'll come out in other ways that is not healthy. So taking those moments where you have a group ministry, a grief ministry is beautiful and it's helpful to you. Or you have those moments where if you don't want to join a grief ministry, to be in the moment of right now, I'm not okay. I'm missing my mom.
Yeah. I
And
want.
like saying that out loud is helpful,
Right.
and to people like both of you, Natalie and Kelly, all too well. Like you said, it's a club we don't want to, no one wants to be initiated in. Nobody. But we get it.
Right.
And like when we have those moments randomly, I needed you to call me on Sunday. I didn't know I needed you to call me on Sunday because until you say, you know what, how you doing? And it just opened up my heart like, huh, here we go. I'm about to cry, And it was like, but I needed it. And I know you needed it. So yeah, that's what that looks like. That's my TED talk on that.
Wait, so Nat, for you, wow, it's so fresh. What for Mother's Day for you, right? Having just buried your mom, Saturday, and tomorrow is Mother's Day. What was that feeling going into tomorrow?
So let's go back. First of all, Mia, you are like helping every newly grieved person, especially me right now, because I know you were younger and you've gone through this, but you are blessing me right now. Um, because grief looks different for everybody, but it's so similar. But let me go back to let's say 4 months ago. 4 months ago, my mom had to have her leg amputated. We were at the hospital every month for something. It was something every month. So I was used to being at the hospital for something. But this particular time, it just really stuck out to me with her. Um, she was dead set on not getting her leg amputated. She meant that and told me that many a times that she was not getting it done. She didn't care. She was gonna go on and be with the Lord. And you know what? I was angry. I was mad. I told her so many times in the nicest way that I was so upset that I moved all the way from Florida to be in Texas and she decided to say she was done and she didn't want to fight anymore. I was mad. I was angry. My grief started about 4 months ago. I was grieving hard. I would sit in that room, I would cry, I made sure she would hear me cry, and she'd be like, Natalie, girl, stop that. Stop that. You all right. Don't do that. Just give me a minute. Let me think about it. Let me think about what I'm gonna do. I'm like, no, these people are trying to save you right now. You gonna wait too long. I need you to say yes now. The doctors would come in every time. They wouldn't talk to her no more. They knew. They was like, we ain't talking to her no more. All right, daughter, what is it that we want to do? I said, no, no, no. Listen to what she got to tell you. So finally, when she said it, it gave that sense of peace. But I was mad. I was angry because I just did not understand why she would not say yes. I didn't understand why she didn't want to still be here. I even threw up the kids. Those are her only three grandchildren. I threw up the kids. I threw up my daddy. I threw up everybody. Because I was like, man, like to watch a person like be stubborn, I guess, and say, I don't want this. I'm done. I'm tired of this. That was the hardest piece. And it almost puts you in grief, like with them. Like it makes you feel depressed with them. And I was not claiming that. I was not gonna claim that I was gonna be any of that. We was about to be getting this amputation. Because I'm like, it hurt. So my grief started then. And I remember when we put her on hospice because the infections in her body, they were just they started going out of control. Because truly, once you got one infection, another one's gonna pop up somewhere. It's just like cancer. Once cancer is in one place, it a lot of times gonna show up somewhere else. So that's how it was for her infections. And this last infection was just in a place where they really couldn't operate. And so, as bad as I wanted her to get that operation, as bad as I wanted her to still be here and thrive and live, I had to finally come to terms that the Lord was telling me, Natalie, this is it. So I truly had gave up, right? I'm thinking she went on hospice in February. I had gave up. I said, man, I said hospice. Oh, I remember I called my mother-in-law, called Tessie, and y'all know Tessie Smith. I called Tessie, and I was crying on the phone so hard. I said, my mom chose hospice. I was like, you know what hospice means? They're gonna, she got a week to live. I didn't know that. But that's what I'm thinking in my head. I got all these mixed emotions, all these mixed things going on. So she told me, she said, you stop it. She said, you stop it. She said, that's not what that means. Hospice does not always mean end of life. It means that they're going to take care of her. And she could be off of hospice and be thriving again. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I'm going to listen. I'm going to do right. I'm going to listen. So I did listen. And no joke, my mama thrived for 2.5 months. And it was beautiful. We walked in the room every day. She was smiling. She was happy. She was eating. Mind you, my mom hadn't eaten in 3 years. She was eating solid food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When they told me that, I said, what? We had to put you on hospice for you to start eating? I'm confused. So I'm asking all these questions because I'm like, I'm so confused right now. She was eating. I would finally ask her questions. She knew what we were talking about. It was like just 2.5 beautiful months of great conversation. We found things that we liked. And I told Kelly this. This was told to me by a good friend. I at that time stopped being her caregiver and I became her daughter again because my mindset was so on the go of we're back in the hospital again. I'm advocating for my mom. I'm a health education coordinator for a profession. So that's what I do. I advocate for everybody. So for my own mom, that's what I was doing. But I finally got a chance just to be her daughter again and not be worried because hospice took care of her while I got to come in there and just smile, sit at her bedside, love on her. We shared things that we enjoyed, and she would ask me funny and crazy questions or things about the kids. It was just a different side of what I guess looked like for me grief, right? I didn't know what it was going to look like. This is what it looked like for me. So when, like I said, when Saturday came, um, leading me up to Sunday, I was ready. I was ready because I was able to share that special time with her. Y'all, if I'm telling you, if when we put my mom on hospice in February and that was it that week, I probably would have been toe up. I ain't gonna lie, I can't even tell you what I would feel because I received time.
Mm.
A lot of people don't get time. I told my cousin is listening to Mia, like, your mom, you thought she was gonna be, and then, I told my cousin is, I said, he gave me time. I lived away for 10 years. We moved back in August of last year. I got time. So I'm thankful for that time. And I sat there and I thanked God for that time. That's all I kept saying was, thank you, God.
Mm.
Thank you. Because it could have been a different way. I could have been upset that I didn't have the time. I could have been upset that I was in Florida and couldn't make it to Texas in time.
Mm.
I had time. So I was grateful. So Saturday leading up to Sunday, it was joyous for me. I know that might not sound right, to somebody. I'm new in it. So let me say that I'm new in it. But the reason why I did it on Saturday was because I knew Sunday was Mother's Day. Somebody told me, I don't know why you doing it on Mother's Day. You're gonna be hurting. You can't tell me how to grieve. I don't. I don't. I'm. I literally did it for the reason of which I knew God gave me that time. I got to love on my mama, and I was gonna celebrate my mama, so that on Sunday when Mother's Day came, I could feel her everywhere I went. We took to the restaurant, we ate Chinese food, we did all kind of stuff that embodied her. But I felt her the whole entire time. From Saturday till Sunday, I embodied my mom. So no, I truly get it, Mia. Nobody can tell us how we gonna grieve, what Sunday was gonna look like. I didn't know what Sunday was gonna look like. I woke up. I said, Daddy, we're getting ready for church. I said, you going with me today? He said, no, I'm going to go to my church. I said, okay. All right. I went on. Me and my family got ourselves dressed up. Brother Boundary called us up to sing. Me and Dix, we sang, baby. I sang Run and Tell That like I ain't saying Run and Tell That. I'm just saying. So I'm just telling you, I was so joyous. I was so happy. I was so thankful that there's no more pain. It's no
Mm.
more sorrow. This lady was going through it every day, and I felt so bad because I couldn't. Every time I heard something, I was like, Lord, here we go again. Here we go again. And I felt so bad. Every time I got that call saying, meet us at the ER, I was like, again, again. So I'm thankful that I don't have to hear that no more because
Mm.
she is with the Lord and I know it. I know it. So I'm gonna rejoice.
That's
I'm
good,
gonna
Nat. You stay right here with me. So you mentioned moving down to Florida, right? So y'all moved to Miami. You moved to support your husband in his ministry, right? His ministry assignment. So tell me, how did it feel to shift from being the supporter to being the one in need of support when your mom got sick? Up in all this time, you've been going
yeah,
along with Dex, right? And
yeah,
then tell us about how you were feeling guilty. Come on, talk to us about now, Dex. You was liking Miami. Y'all was
yeah,
down in there thriving at Hope, and
yeah,
Dex singing and bringing the house down every Sunday, and
yeah.
then y'all make the decision to move back. Come on.
So in October of 23, it was a mishap with my mom. Some things went on. I had to fly home. That was like my first time really having to fly and be home for about a week or so. And when we saw, I told Dex then, I said, Dex, she's not getting better. Like I'm nervous about this because she's not getting better. And so we had the conversation. We didn't know what it was gonna look like. But if I had to fly home every week, or sorry, every month, then I knew the ministry thing, either it was gonna be me gone more, like, and he would have to take care of the kids, we had to, that thing, or it was gonna be we had to uproot the whole family. So when we moved to Florida, we loved Hope. We loved Hope. We have the best village of people down there that showed up Saturday. Let's talk about that real quick. They showed up Saturday.
Wow.
They were the ones passing out the tissue and fanning us and passing out my programs. That was who was there. It was hope. It was my village, my community. So I've always been there to support my husband no matter what. I know he loves to sing. I know it's not just a love, it's truly a ministry for him. I see him ministering songs so much, and I just love to see him doing it, because that's his calling. But I felt very guilty, asking him, or kind of telling him that we would possibly be moving, that we were gonna have to come home. So me being the only child, it's just my dad in the house that him and my mom lived in. My mom at this time had to finally be moving to a facility. So my dad was in a quiet home that he's not used to being quiet. He's up there at the nursing home every day by her bedside, Sunday through Sunday.
Wow.
And so it was just kind of like, we gotta do it. Like we gotta do it. But I felt very guilty. I know I talked to a couple people because I was like, I don't want him to be mad at me because, we made this decision together. I hope, like I'm like, I hope we made this decision together. Like, I don't want him to be upset. But it was Ira Booker. We saw her in September. Let's go. I know she probably on her. It was Ira Booker who allowed me not to have that doubt anymore. She said, baby, she said, yeah, he's a minister of music. That's his ministry. But this is your ministry too. This is your ministry. Your mama, your family, this is your first ministry. He'll get back into something. Don't even worry about that. When time is time for it, it'll be time again. But don't look at it as, he should be upset that he's not singing anymore or he's not doing anything. No, no, no. This is your ministry, and y'all are doing what you need to do. She told me, I remember when mama passed, she called me and she said, baby, she said, your mama is proud, and I want you to know that. She said, you did good. Y'all know, you did good. And I said, thank you, Sister Ira. I needed that. I really did. Because that was always toying in my head about my mom, is did I make her proud? Did I do the right thing coming home? Did I do the right thing uprooting my family? Mind you, my kids have been to two different states. One was born in Indianapolis, because we did ministry in Indianapolis as well before we moved to Florida. So I kept saying, did I uproot my kids too much? Are they gonna do well to thrive? All these mommy things are in my head, but also the wife and the daughter things as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of questions. And my husband truly flipped on me because he became my caregiver now. He
Mm-hmm.
had to step in and take care of me, making sure I would be okay. Some days I would sit on the edge of the bed and just be staring into space. Some days, my my mom in the hospital, mind you, every month we were there for a month. Okay, so me and my dad would break up these nights, and I would spend the night, or my dad would, and my kids would get not all of me, so we would switch out. He would go spend the night with my mom, so I could at least come and spend time with my kids. So it just he became just what I needed, and he did it not guilty, not mad. He's done it loving, and so I've been thankful for that.
Listen, that's huge because, like I said, we went down to Hope. You remember that time we went down to Hope Fair? We had a good time. And y'all just looked like y'all were really in your element, enjoying it. And so when I first heard that y'all were moving back, I was like, what are they moving back for? And then I heard, oh, her mom's sick. Oh, I said, oh, it was understood, because I did the whole fly in from when my mom was sick from Florida to, Baltimore, Florida to Baltimore, and my dad, just same thing. And it's just hard when you're away. It's hard when you're far away. So Nat, I actually commend you for uprooting and going. So let me ask you this, Mia. So Dex got to meet Natalie's right mom and knew her well. Aaron did not know your mom, Mia. So not getting a chance to actually meet her, what's it been like grieving someone so significant with a partner who only knows her through your stories?
You want me to talk
Aaron,
first or
come on,
him?
Aaron. Come on through, Aaron. Come on through for us. Give us how has that been for you? Because you've never met her, but you see your wife grieving.
Well, I what's interesting about that is I always ask her. I always ask her all the time. I wonder if her mom would have liked me.
Mm.
I always ask that question because what's ironic is with my mom being here and the first time she met my mom,
I forgot about that.
I didn't know what to think because when they first met my mom, they both hugged each other and cried
Mm.
together. And
Very first time we ever met each
the
other.
very first time they ever met, and they hugged each other and cried. And I was like, what in the world is going on here? And I was like, okay, Lord, all right, I understand. I understood the assignment. This is it. I know it. But with me, not ever actually meeting a mom, and a lot of our friends, because a lot of friends that we went to school with, they always talk about how she looked just like her mom. She looked just like her mom. And I started working like a little second job, and sometimes I would go out to QEA and do some work out there in the evenings.
That's the school that I work at.
Yeah.
Shout out QEA.
Yeah, I would go out there in the evening. And in the high school building and in the elementary building, they have various pictures of different people that I guess that have donated or that bought part of the Church of Christ. They have their pictures over the classroom doors. And in the high school, they got a whole hall full of different people in there. And I'm just having to doing work in the elementary school. And I look up and I see the picture of her mom. And I was like, wow, so she do look like her mom. She looked just like, I took a picture of it and kept it. It was like, yo, I was like, and she didn't realize, she didn't know what her mom's picture was in the building. I was like, I said, I just took a picture of your mom. So you look just like your mom, for real.
It's like, yeah, I've been told.
And and it's been like that all the time. But I still have that feeling. Sometimes I wish I'd had a chance to meet her mom. Just just to know to see if she would approve of me.
Oh,
Being with her daughter, because I've never had a problem. Anybody over there, I've never had a problem meeting their parents, meeting their dad, anything like that. Some guys scared to meet their whether they meeting their dad or something like that. I've never had that issue with any parents, and a lot of people. I mean, I'm still, if I see them, they still cool. I've never had an issue with that, but it's just different now because it's like when I look at her, I can see her mom. And
that's fun.
Oh,
That was given to me for my 50th birthday.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, my cousin gave me that.
Yeah.
But
so
also a fun fact. I mean interrupt, but this is significant to what he just said. Fun fact: we actually eloped prior to our wedding. We had because we got married at the courthouse in 2019 and was supposed to have a wedding in 2020, but ended up having in 2021 thanks to COVID.
Yeah, COVID didn't want us to be
But
there.
when we did elope, we
she said elope.
Yeah, elope. It wasn't elope. We just went and got married. We went to Justice of Peace. My bad. Yeah. So
elope.
Yeah, that too. Sure. So when we went, it was on my lunch break, and we went to the courthouse. And while we were signing the marriage license and everything like that, and you have to sign and put the date. And I wrote the date down. And when I wrote the date, I was like,
it hit her.
And he was like, what's wrong? I said, my mom just approved of this. He was like, what you talking about? I said, today is her birthday. So we literally, without even realizing it, got married November 15th. 2019. And I was like, that's how I know. Because she apparently approved of you on her birthday. And I was like, she's here. And that was just a mind-blowing moment because we weren't thinking about it at the time. We're like, okay, well, and the crazy thing is, we didn't let our kids know at the time because we just wanted to make sure that everything was all in place. And that, talk about alignment, that was mind-blowing. That's how I knew.
And, not to mention, like I said, when I think about how I could approve, I always go back to I've seen it, and I look at up sometimes. I'm like, Lord, why didn't you? Because like we've known each other since middle school.
Seventh grade.
Yeah, and we had a class together in middle school, and I used to cheat off a paper.
Sat right beside me.
For real. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not stupid. She's smart. You know what I'm saying? I ain't quite as smart, so I'm gonna use that to my advantage. Why not? But I sit there, I can say it all the time, like Lord, we could have saved us a whole lot of heartache and pain. We'd have just, you'd have told us then that this was how it's gonna be. We'd have stayed together, regardless. And like I'd have had that chance to meet her mom and everything, and really seeing how she would approve him. I feel like she would have, but and everybody that I talked to, like, yeah, she would have loved you. And I'm glad to know that. But sometimes I do wish that, and just like, when we went to her mom's grave here a couple of years ago, she didn't, we had to look for it because it's been a while since it's been there. And I mean, that was as many graves I've been to, that was a different experience for me just to go. For me, that was like me meeting her mom in person. Although, I never seen her face in person. It was like, that was me meeting her mom in person and me letting her know that I'm going to do everything I can to take care of your daughter. God has blessed me to bless me with your daughter. I'm going to do everything I can to take care of your daughter in that regard. So, I mean, it may sound weird to some people, but that to me is like, a way of me getting her approval.
And another thing, what he did, and I didn't know until, I didn't know until maybe a day or two later, when I went back after I graduated in 2023, I went back to get my master's, and I graduated with my master's this past December. And so once again, to celebrate or whatever, I put my mom and dad's picture on my cap and gown this time because, by this time my dad passed a month before I finished. So I said, okay, well, both of them. And now, like I said, they rest beside each other now. But after the graduation, we went and of course, celebrated, got something to eat. And I said, well, I'm going home. I'm going to bed. It's something about me going to bed and taking a rest. I was like, and I'm done. That's what I want to do.
We like to take naps.
So I went, it was literally, I went, after the graduation, I went 4:00. I was in bed, no lie, at 4 p.m. I mean, lights out, everything, like blanket over me, all that. I was like, okay, I'm done. And he came in later. And so, woke me up, got up, got something to eat. It was around like maybe 6:30 or 7. And he said, I did something today. I said, okay. I said, what'd you do? I said, where you been? He said, I went to your mom and dad's grave. I said, why? He said, I just wanted to let them know that you were going to be okay and you did it. And I'm going to take care. I'm vowing to take care of you from now on. I wanted your mom to know. And he just took it upon himself to do it. I didn't say anything. I was just like, you a good one. I ain't gonna let you go. You might be all right with me. You know what I mean? So it was, I feel like because of all the stories that I've told and I told my sons and everything like that, he asks all the time, you think she would have liked me? You think she would have liked me? I say, I wouldn't be with you if I didn't think that. But just those things like that just confirmed that, he wanted to know some nuggets of her.
Yeah.
So
that's sweet. That's good. So, hey, Deck, welcome.
Hey, Deck.
You
What's going on?
welcome, welcome, welcome.
What's
You
up? How
you
y'all
missed
doing?
you
What's
missed you missed your wife's heartfelt response. I asked her what was that like being that y'all had moved down to Miami for your assignment, and then she's always supporting you, and then now the tables had to flip, and now y'all moved back and you actually said yes and you walked away from the ministry. It was real heartfelt. I can't tell you about it now. You got to go back and watch it. I got another question now.
I was listen. I was at work. I almost got fired because I was trying to peep in and see what was going on.
But listen, Deck, I got a question for you. She said you went caregiver role on her. That most men don't understand, don't know how to do that. So wow, big ups to you for that. But my question to you both, I'm gonna start with Dexter first. How did you know what kind of support Natalie needed in her grief? And were there moments you felt helpless or unsure how to help her?
From the very first time that we moved back, I felt that way. I felt helpless. I didn't know what to do. I was always trying to run in and fix it, and didn't know I was overwhelming her with trying to fix it. So it was a point to where I literally had to have a conversation with her and say, "Listen, I don't need anything from you as a husband. You just tell me what you need,
Mm,
and whatever it is, I got you." And so once I did that, I learned how to be still and listen to the Lord first, and then I listened to her, and she would tell me what she needed without me saying, "Okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that." No, because anything could trigger her. With dealing with kids, dealing with parents, and mind you, parents are up there, so they're set in their ways. They got their own ways. So I never wanted to be the stumbling block. So I always had to sit back and just watch and observe, and she let her tell me what she needed when she needed.
where you
And
get
that
that from?
wasn't easy. That wasn't easy to tell him because he'll tell you I'm one of the people that because I'm such a giver, I don't know how to receive.
Mm.
I'm the same way with like my friends and everything. Like I was taught to give. I don't know how to receive. So when he like he said, staying still, letting the Lord like really kind of show us the path of what it needs to look like. That's the only way. That is the only way.
Yeah, getting up, making sure the kids were on the bus. She didn't have to tell me to do that. Because I
Okay.
already understood she's coming in late at night after she worked all day. I work 12-hour shifts in a day, but hey, that's nothing compared to what my assignment is to make sure that she was all right. Yeah, yeah.
So Dex, let me ask you, since you're here, like you love singing. You like I was just me and Fred were just talking about it when we were down in there in Hope. You look like you were in your element. You were enjoying what you were doing. How hard was it for you to say, I mean, I know you love your mom in love, right? You were down there working for the Lord. How hard was that for you to say, you know what, we do need to go back? Like contemplation wise, did it take you long to come to the agreement that it needed to go, or was it like automatic?
To be honest with you, it was automatic because here's why. When we first got married, so for a couple years after we got married, right? 2 years after we got married, we had a baby, and it was time. Indianapolis called, Kingsley Terrace called me, and Natalie did not want to move.
Mm.
Natalie did. When I tell you, she cried, she cried. She tried to find everything not to move. Her mama was, "No, I don't want y'all to go." They would. I was like, "No, we gotta go. This is the Lord's work. We gotta go." And I ended up leaving 30 days after my firstborn child was born. 30
Mm.
days.
Ooh.
She's in the NICU. The Lord called and I was gone. But it was automatic for me because I took her away 10 years ago.
Mm.
Mm.
And I said, there's no way that I can miss this opportunity for her to be with her mom because I took her away. I took a portion of her life from her. And she sacrificed all of that for me. So I gotta do that for her. That was understood. Even though she may have thought that I was gonna be upset. No, that was understood. We're gonna come back. We're gonna take care of your mom. We're stronger and we're wiser now. We didn't move away just to be doing ministry. We grew up, so I had to take that.
Gray hairs in your beard. All that.
We had, I had to grow up, so it was like no, as a husband, as a leader, of my family, and I had to make that decision to make sure that my wife was taken care of, and taking care of her mentally. A lot of people don't, they look at the physical, but the mental aspect of it, you got to take care of that. And so I was already prepared. Let's do it.
Wow.
Nothing.
That's huge. That is huge. Okay, Aaron, coming to you. Then I got to get to this chat, and then we got to let these people go to bed. Aaron, um, how did you know what kind of support Mia needed in her grief, and were there moments you felt helpless or unsure of how to help? Because most men, they struggle with that. Like, let me just give this example. I knew someone who, like Mia, Dex, you missed Mia say she was baking a cake and just bust out crying, and then the husband is just standing there, not knowing what to do. He freezes. You know what I'm saying? How did you know what to do and how to help her? And did you have those moments of freeze? I don't know what to do. Come on, Aaron.
Oh, I mean, no doubt. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I honestly didn't know what to do at first. Those times where she would be crying and be crying for no reason, or like she used to have, saying panic attacks or anxiety attacks. And I was actually like, well, what's wrong? She was like, well, it don't have to be nothing wrong. It's like, and in my mind, I'm like, it has to be something wrong for you to be feeling this way. It's something got to be triggering, so I'm trying to figure it out. And like, saying Dex said earlier, us as men, we're by nature wanting to be the person to fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
We every man wants to be their wife's hero, and exactly, every man wants to be their wife's hero. But at the time, we can't always be that hero. And that right there is devastating to us when we can't help the one person that we know needs the help. And it's like, how do you navigate through that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, Lord, how you gonna have us here helpless, knowing that our wives are going through something like this? It's like, what do we do? And so in that aspect, we had to learn how to be okay. Like, okay, this is not about you fixing it. You can't fix everything. You're not supposed to fix this. You have to let this happen, and all you can do is support. All you can do, give her a hug, let her cry on your shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Snot bubbles and all, whatever that may be. But just being there sometimes is enough for that person, especially going through something. Just you being there, being in their presence can be enough. Just to let them know that you're there to support. Sometimes, don't even have to say anything. And it's hard at first, but the only reason we can be at the point that we are now is because of God showing us how to say, you know what, let's be still. Just, saying, I have to follow God in order to understand how to navigate through her pain, because every ounce of pain that you go through is not always fixable. Just like, I mentioned before, pain is necessary. Pain is a part of life, and you have to learn how to navigate through it. Because sometimes, and I mentioned this before, when you go through pain, you have to learn how to steward your pain. Can you actually go through your pain and steward your pain that God allows, and you not leaving? A lot of times that pain is just a test. It's to help you grow. It's to help your faith. It's to help your trust. Because even though you're going through something, going through pain, God is always, if you trust God enough, no matter what you're going through or how bad you are hurting, you will have to learn how to navigate. You have to trust God enough to go through your pain, because pain will create agnostic people. It will create atheists. because it'll create that point to where you get mad at God and you want to leave him. But if God can trust you with your pain and you not leave him, and this is pain that he allows this pain to happen. And like she's going through her pain, and now I'm going through pain because I can't fix her problem. It's hard. So you have to learn how to, and that's one of the points where God is saying, I didn't ask you to fix her problem. All I want you to do is be there. This ain't for you to fix. This is for me to help her navigate through. And then sometimes God would literally sit you down and say, I just need you to sit down for a minute. And like, what am I supposed to do with that except, okay, Lord? Because, and I think I mentioned to you last night, pain will have people searching for false remedies. Pain, heartbreak, disappointment can cause your elevation and your growth in Christ to be stuck in transit. And if you're not careful and you don't recognize that, you know what I'm saying? Some people are sitting there and look at discernment and everything. And when they're going through pain will cause you to think, you know what I'm saying, think you got night vision. All you're doing is you're just masking your pain. And you consider night vision thinking that you know what you're looking at. No, you're just walking in the dark and don't know where you're going. But pain is necessary. It's for your growth. It really is. It'll teach you patience. It'll teach you, because between faith, trust, and patience, all three of those things go together. You can't trust without faith, and you can't sit here and be faithful without trusting God. And in both of those, you can't trust God without being patient. You can't do it. It's impossible. So
we learned, even in what he was saying, we learned how effective communication can be when I'm having those moments. And the biggest thing that he has given me when it's come to this grief is a safe space to put it. And I didn't have that before, because I was trying to navigate. Well, I don't want to put this in the room of, I don't want to take up so much room. And it's gotten to a point now that, even when I'm feeling it and he sees it and he's like, baby, you okay? And like, I'll say something is corny, but he gets it immediately. I'm like, snuggles. I'll just say, just like, that's my way of, that's my way of saying, I need a hug. Like, I need your arms around me. Just let me cry, and now that he gets that the way to solve the problem is just to allow me to get to have the problem happen, and just giving me that safe space was the most important thing for me to be able to grieve like I needed to. And that's the reason why I said I've learned that there's healing in my grief, because if you don't have a safe space to open up and be and realize where you are in that moment, and to acknowledge that, hey, I am grieving, and you have someone that understands that, like he said, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to understand it, take the blocks down and solve it and put it all back together again. Like Natalie, when you're in that moment, this is fresh for you. You're going to have more moments where you're thinking about that, and triggers will come up. Acknowledge that trigger. If for all of you out here listening, acknowledge where you are so you can know what your safe space it looks like when you think about those moments when it's just not, you ain't at your best, or when you're joyous about the time of celebrating your mom's life, and as crazy as it is to other people that you celebrated your mom's life, her homecoming on Mother's Day. Actually, that was pivotal.
Yeah.
That was very pivotal. And it was a beautiful moment. You said it. And I felt it. I felt that word beautiful when you said it. It was not just in my heart. It was gut wrenching. And it's not just beautiful, it's gorgeous. Because that's what she wanted. And praise God, you had time. I had 6 days of wondering where all this came from.
Yeah, and and not to interrupt me. Sometimes it's like, how many days, like, being that, saying a lot of times we're not together 24 hours of the day. It's sometimes I just come home and just give her a hug.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or it's sometimes like, being, I'm a minister in my own church. And sometimes I'll be teaching Sunday school, and it's like, what? I tell my pastor, like, what? I'm gonna leave after I finish Sunday school. I got to go be with my wife.
Mm.
I
And
got to go
that
be
that
with
has
her.
happened, and we actually, it was like we talked to each other telepathically or something, because when I saw him walking in, and he's done it several times, or I'll go to him when I saw him walking in, we would literally get up and meet and hug. I say, you knew.
Wow.
Or found each other where I'm driving to church, and then he's driving up beside me on the highway, and I'm like, you must have known.
Yeah.
Like, and it's real. Like, it's so funny. And like, I laugh because he pulled, like, I was like, dang, I said, you know what, maybe I need to go to his church, because our church is like maybe 10-15 minutes away. But like, those moments where I'm like, I need snuggles. And so like, while I'm driving, and he pulled up beside me on the highway, and I'm looking, I'm like, what, who is this?
I'm like,
That's
you late.
him.
Yeah. I'm like,
And he looked at me and mouthed the words going down the highway, you late. I know.
but
And
I
I
mean,
just,
but those, and it's ironic because those moments is like when you're actually in tune with each other to the point that I can feel what she's feeling at that moment. And it's like, I don't know where, I'm feeling something that's like, okay, I don't know where it's coming from, but God let me know, okay, you know what? And I say, I got to go be with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And when I see her and everything now, give her a hug and everything, and then everything seems to be okay right now. We can move forward. And I just thank God for moments like that, because, when I look back at my past, look back at the days and things, that I've been through, I never in my wildest dreams imagined myself being exactly where I am today.
Mm.
And being able to serve and being able to have that type of discernment, or that type of certainty, as somebody put it. So when you got discernment, it means you're certain. You know what I'm saying? So to have that in, like, okay, my wife needs me for something.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it ain't, and sometimes it may not even be her needing me, it's me needing her.
Mm.
And I'm like, I might just go get a hug and everything's like, you okay? I say, yeah, I'm good now. I ain't gotta say a word, just come in the house and get a hug. And that's it. I can be at work, and there's been times I'd be at work and I just call, or I can text, or I'd be like, you know what? I just want to say I love you. I just want you to know that I'm here with you. Or come home like, you know what? I need a hug when I get home.
That's right.
I need that. I don't want nothing else. I just need a hug.
and
That's it. And that's more special than, I mean, it's I can't really put it in words, but it's more special than anything I could say I've ever experienced. And if you'd have asked me something like this 10 or 15 years ago, I wouldn't have thought of it the same way.
Mm.
But I realized and I appreciate it a lot more now than I would have back then. And I mean, it's nothing but God to be able to navigate through any of these things we go through.
Absolutely.
And one more thing just to add to that, and I'll wrap it up. I promise I know everybody got to go to sleep. But like, just to add to his point, something that we have, since we've been together, have pretty much made it our saying, is whenever we say, I love you, whoever says it first, the other one will say, well, I love you more.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, or love you more. And it doesn't mean I love you more than you love me. It means I love you more than any of the adversity of life. I love you more than anything that tries to put us under when God has built it together. I love you more than any situation. I love you. So like, we even have like a frame in our house. We haven't put it up yet, and this is a new house, but we got it from the store, and it the words are love you more. And that's what we go by in our house. So that always reminds us that no matter what, God is in the midst of this. No matter what, I love you more than whatever is going on, whatever grief that may come, whatever the mountains that we have to climb uphill, whether it's financially, spiritually, emotionally, all those things, we live by that. So, if we need it in those moments where it's like, dog, I'm having a bad day, or who, I'm thinking about my mom, he comes up and he'll say, love you, and I'll go, love you more.
Yeah.
And it's so that's something that, shucks, if we can put it on a t-shirt, that's how we live, because that's what we need. That's the safe space.
And then not just to that, the last thing is, we always say that because for me, I always want to make sure that if something was to happen to me after we didn't get off the phone, after I saw her, the last words that I said to my wife, last words that I heard to me was, I love you. I want her to know that. And it's not just to be saying it, it's because I really mean it. I want those to be the last words that you heard from me. It wasn't no arguments. And even if it was an argument, I'm still going to say, I love you. And I want you to know that. And I want you to be able to feel that from me the way I feel it from you.
Amen. Y'all have been a blessing to me tonight. I want to run to this chat right quick because y'all got support, and I don't want to get off this show without calling out y'all's support. We got Jocelyn Jenkins saying, I love it. Alicia Smith, the praying hands. Elliot Fuller's watch. Hey, Elliot. Bridges White says, can I join the club? My number is, so they want us to call them. Sister Mia, thank you so much. I'm experiencing this right now. Yes, I'm in that same arena. I feel the same way. Do I have to grieve in private? Sister Mia, you can call me anytime. They got the number on here. I'll get, she said, I know we don't know each other personally. My sweet mama. My heartbeat transition on November 17th, 2019. Please, when you get the time, please, let's talk. This is Sister Kelly Neal was for me tonight. Thank you so much. I'm in tears now. Wow, we helping somebody. Mama Booker says, yes, thank you for comforting Natalie Smith. That when you thank Mia for her story. Alicia says, I remember that, Nat. You must have said something. Alicia said, I remember it. She remembered. I just want to let you know here. We got, he gave you the time. Wow. Father, you gave Nat time. Glory. That's Sister Ira Booker. I could hear how she said that too. Hey, Minnie Best Daniels. Thank you two ladies. I can definitely identify. I was in tears just listening to you both of you talk. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Alicia Smith says, we miss them so much. Nobody like Sister Ira. That's when you was talking about what Sister Ira said to you about you feeling guilty about pulling Dex away from the ministry, right? Nat, you pleased God. Bridges White says, amen and amen and amen. That's my sis. We got my faithful daughters, keep honoring God. That's from Sister Ira Booker. Hey, Akila Hill is watching. Hey, Dex, husband of the year. You came in and swooped on in here, and Alicia say, hey, Dex, you husband of the year, because I told you, most men, they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do that caregiving thing. That it's hard for them, and for you to be able to come on.
Look, I didn't either. I had a father that showed me that, because the same situation that we're in right now, my parents went through the same thing.
Yeah.
My dad
we had to learn it. We had to learn it.
To move back, to move in, that was tough. I had some explicit conversation with my father about all of this. It was that. So I mean, I learned from him how to take care of her.
Wow, that's awesome. This is giving me chills. Aaron and Mia. That's Andy. Hey, Andy. Andy's in the club too. I'm so sorry, Andy, for your loss.
Love you, girl.
Yeah.
Aaron and Dex, thanks for loving your wives like Jesus. That's from Mama Booker. Everybody loves Mama Booker. When she speaks,
love you, Mama Ira. You off. I love her. I can. Yeah, that's a good Mama Ira. I love her.
I'm gonna read a couple more, then y'all gonna have to go in here and get them for the rest of yourself. Andy says, Lord, where's my tissue? What a blessing. Dex, great love, support. Come on, Dex. You learn to sit and listen. That's how she said that.
She does. She does.
We got Kimberly Annette. Hey, Kimberly, you are such a blessing. Natalie, we love you big. My Lord, my God. Okay, we got all this. This is beautiful. Amen. You can't fix it. Embrace it with her.
Yep.
I think that was what Aaron said, right?
Yep.
Yep. Yes, support is so important. Teach Aaron. Teach Aaron. They shouting out. I can't read all this stuff. Y'all got to go in here and read it yourself. But they are giving y'all love and support. And I always want to
Really
just,
appreciate it.
hey, Sister Gail. She said your experience and transparency is much needed and appreciated.
God bless.
So I just want y'all to go. Um, she said, Dex, hold Nat tight. I know that's right.
That's right.
Teach me more. Good teaching. I saw Stephanie Book on here too, y'all. Y'all got a lot of support. I just
Hey,
want to
Stephanie.
support.
And just to say, you know what, Kelly, my pastor's wife, she went through the same thing. She lost her mother, and this is something I thought about. Just thinking about it, it's something that can be have followed. Her and some other ladies that have lost their mothers, they actually come together like once a month and have brunch or do something like that. They come together and actually, you know what I'm saying, just to support
In
each
honor of
other.
mothers, yeah.
Yeah, for all you ladies that have lost your mother, stuff like that. Because I'll be honest with you, sometimes I feel guilty because I still have both my parents. You know what I'm saying? And I know I shouldn't feel weird. It's a blessing to still have them, but it's like sometimes I feel bad because I have my parents and my wife don't, you know? And sometimes that's a conflicting issue for me. But at the same time, it's like it's a blessing to still have mine. But I don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
Especially after my wife losing her parents.
Yeah.
You know, so but I mean it's ladies, you know, to support each other. Like I said, hey, I don't take any credit. I give it all to God. This is all for His glory. Because without Him, I wouldn't be here to even help to be able to support my wife.
That's right.
Dexter, Natalie.
I'll share that with you, Aaron.
Yeah. Dexter and Natalie, if there's anything you need,
you know what I'm saying?
You reach out. I'll share. We'll share our info. We'll stay close. I pray, you know, because we got to stick together.
Yep.
We do.
Fred, Kelly, we want to thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you,
Kelly, and Fred. Thank y'all for real.
Yes, Kelly, Fred, we love you for this. Thank you so much.
Listen, y'all are blessing. You know, there's no book, chapter, or verse that can demonstrate the actions that you guys showed each other. You know, a lot of times, you know, we have all these colloquialisms. You know, I'm like, you know, time will heal. Time doesn't heal anything. Y'all gonna hurt until the day that all of us are laid out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get one mama, you get one daddy. So you know, now God heals wounds over time. You know, time doesn't heal anything.
Right.
So y'all just keep loving on each other, man. And this has been great. This is beautiful. Whatever. I'm reminded of that story. You know, you guys talked about crying, and somebody said, "You still crying?" Jesus. Remember the story, Lazarus? You know what's crazy? I was listening to something today, and Jesus knew that God was listening to him, and He heard his cry, and He knew that, you know, because he told everybody along that story that He was just sleeping. Do you all know or remember that Jesus actually wept? He cried.
Yes.
Knowing that He was going to be brought back to life. But that's just one of those metaphoric things in the Bible with, you know, Jesus. You know, God sent Him here for us or what have you. So y'all just keep crying, keep mourning. You know what I'm saying? That's okay.
Thank you, Fred.
I want to y'all real quick. The YouTube, we got Lavon on here saying mercy Jesus. Pam Williams, I think that's Pam. God knows who needs to be there when our loved ones pass. He allowed you to have peace when you left her that night. Wow, that's to you, Nat, when you went home and they had to call you back. Jay Holmes says, wow, feeling the need to grieve privately to make sure others felt comfortable. Mercy. That was you, Mia, when you were talking about the person said to you, you ain't over with this yet or done.
That's crazy.
I understand when you say my grief is healing me. And then I got, amen, I have learned to be still in my pain because I have learned that I can't fix everything. And then Sheena Harris, thank y'all for this. This has been great and wonderful.
Oh, Aaron said something beautiful too. He said something about stewarding your pain or what have you. You know what's beautiful in that is you remember the pain, but because you steward it properly, you don't remember what it felt like.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Aaron, what you said. Stewarding your pain, just like we steward everything else, money, time. That was beautiful.
Yeah, you got to learn how to do that, man,
Absolutely.
because that's what God wants you to do. And like I said, you have to learn how to steward it and go through your pain, and you still not leave God.
That's right.
It's just it's a test. You know what I'm saying? Everything's a test when it comes to that regard. Because the thing about pain is inevitable, but misery is an option.
That's right.
Ooh.
That's heavy.
Misery is an option. You heard that, Dad?
I just wrote it down.
What you say, Dad?
I just wrote that down. I'm gonna give you that.
Yeah. So that's what you have to think about, because you're gonna, like you said, you're gonna always have pain. You're gonna go through pain all the time. But you to dwell in it and sit here and wallow in it and be miserable in it, that's your choice. That's an option. You don't have to be that way.
Yeah, you can't take Tylenol for a heartache. You can take Tylenol for a headache, Tylenol for a toothache.
Right.
You can take Pepto-Bismol for a stomach ache, but that heartache,
Yes,
you better know somebody.
And that's the reason we have Jesus.
That's right.
That's the reason we have Jesus.
Okay.
So whether it's been 28 years in closing, 28 years or 2 weeks. Just a few days ago for Natalie, 28 years for Mia. Grief does not operate on a schedule.
It doesn't.
Today reminded us that how we the love that we carry for our mothers, it never ends, and neither does the grace God gives us to carry that love forward. It never ends. We're going to forever need his grace. So if anyone's out here grieving today, know this: you're not alone, and your pain is seen by the one who comforts us in all our sorrow.
Exactly.
Amen.
Go ahead on and have that pain. Like Fred said earlier, Jesus wept and he knew that Lazarus was going to be raised, and he still wept. And all that is indicative of the fact that God
humanity. He's humanity.
We're human.
He had to show the people that were there that, you know what I'm saying, you just got to listen to God. I mean, he hears your cries. He hears your sorrows. He knows your pain, you know, so you just got to keep hope, trust, and faith in him.
We're human, and we can have that moment to cry. Right. And basically, you know, it's just a matter of the fact that God is going to fix it, but we still feel it. He's going to fix it, but we still feel it, right? And so we hear all these platitudes when a person, you know, she's in a better place, you know, and it's like,
she might be, but I'm not. How about that?
Right, not right now.
She might be, but Natalie, you're not. Mia, you're not.
That's exactly what I heard when everything initially happened, and I was like, if I hear that one more time,
exactly.
They got zero time to say
That's
that.
Right. That's right.
That's and I felt in the moment, I felt bad for feeling that way, but I meant every bit of that. I was like, that's the reason why I was like, I need to go somewhere to laugh, because if I hear, well, she's in a better place now, and she's gone, you know, God, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'll talk to you later. Like I had to move forward.
And everybody's got the best intentions when they say that. They don't mean nothing bad by it.
Right.
It's just that us as people don't actually. I put it this way, and I'm saying it from a person that still has his parents, something like that. Most people who still have their particular loved one in their life don't truly understand how to present themselves when they say, yeah, they're in a better place, but like, I'm saying that I'm a person that still has that particular person. I can't truly, you know what I'm saying, understand how you feel.
right.
All I can do is, you know what I'm saying, give you my support. So, you know, I learned to say, yeah, they may be in a better place, but I understand you're going to feel hurt right now.
That's right.
You're going to feel that pain. just like I tell people all the time, everybody comes around when you first lose that person, they're at the funeral and everything like that, they come and support them. But it's that after the funeral and after a couple of weeks when you by yourself, that's when you really, really need that support.
That's right. When the smoke
clears. That's when everybody's done, they've already came, they showed their face, and now most people have pretty much kind of forgotten about how you feeling right now.
Yep.
So that's when you really, really need that support then.
So we love y'all. We thank you so much for your courage. We thank you so much for your time. Dex, thank you for running in and after work. And I ain't even call it out on here, but it said Dex is watching, and it was way up there when you was at work. So I don't even.
Yeah, don't lose your job, Doc.
Listen,
I was going in.
get it, Fred. Tell him again.
Check the location.
Let him know.
You got some miles with me.
I love your dedication, Dex. That's what I'm talking about.
Listen, I love
Kelly
y'all.
again, and Kelly, we want to thank you again because I mean, you said you lost your mom too, right?
Yes, I did.
So I mean, you know what I'm saying, and
Praying for you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She was my number one fan.
Oh wow,
Number one.
See, that's some good stuff we like to
one.
hear. You know what I mean?
Number one.
Ah, I love that.
Those memories. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. Don't get us started. But anyway, we gotta go, y'all. Well, we gotta let the people go. We love y'all.
We love y'all.
We love y'all. Thank
y'all.
y'all.
Let me do my outro. Y'all stay on. Let's get one more prayer in before we go. And y'all tell everybody bye. Let's
Bye,
get
you guys.
go in here, and I'll see y'all in a second.